Hey everybody, welcome to Brett and Justin Save the World of Real Estate. Last time, our first episode, we were debating on the titles and the names. We were so unofficial we didn't have them. But
we didn't really vote, you just decided on one. So
no vote at all. Yeah, I just
creative control.
Made a logo, put it on there and thought, this sounds impressive. But that's Justin.
Hi guys.
Real estate extraordinaire, appraiser extraordinaire. I'm Brett. A little bit of realtor knowledge, a little bit of mortgage knowledge, and then a lot of hot air. So the reason,
kind of a city farmer too.
A city backyard chicken farmer. Yeah, I am definitely the definition of jack of all trades, master of none. I think that is true. You are a jack of many trades, master of many. Which I think is awesome.
When you raise chickens, it's husbandry, right? So you're like a double husband.
Quadruple
husband, yeah.
Husbandry. Quint husband, because I got 4 chickens plus a cat. I don't know what you call that. So, for those that listen to us, by the way, thank you for those that checked out our video post of this and our podcast post. The whole point of this was, Justin and I, we talk a lot. And we say some things that we think might actually be relevant to some other people. So we thought, well, let's just.
And a lot of things we don't want to get out.
Well, we have no shame, so we don't care if they get out. But debatable whether they need to be on this podcast or not.
Enough.
Yeah. And so we just thought, rather than just sit in our office and talk about market trends and things that we're seeing, maybe someone out there wants to hear this, whether that's another realtor. Or someone that's thinking about buying or selling a home, and you just like real estate, and you just kind of want to know more about these markets.
Yeah, this is kind of cut through the hype of you can get online and read a lot of different stuff, but it's like going to your doctor and telling them you read you're convinced you have cancer because you read WebMD. And I hear a lot of people coming to us and they go, hey, I saw this, and you're like, yeah, that was one story in New York one time, but that's not necessarily what's happening this week. And real estate moves so fast, especially in this market, that it's really a week-to-week thing, which unfortunately we're only doing this once a month at this point. Once a month-ish. So some of this information, it changes week to week, and if you don't have your boots on the ground, then you're just reading stories of what happened in New York.
Right.
Which we don't live in New York.
And even the local news, right? We were in a meeting this week, and our fearless leader of our office said, hey, maybe reach out to some local news outlets and let them know some of these market trends that we're all discussing, because they're still, even in Kansas City, we're in Kansas City, Midwest. So even here, the local news is still talking about maybe markets it was hot news a month ago or 2 months ago, and now we're seeing a change. And so maybe we need to be, so this is our way, instead of calling the local news stories and just saying, hey, come put a camera on us, we just put our own cell phone on us, and no crew, all amateur, and the point is,
amateur.
And the point is to be like really hot and fresh and front line, so
authentic. Yeah.
So the story, but here's what happened with our last episode. I think we had some great takes in our last episode, but we recorded it in April when everyone was, things were just starting to really spiral, and we were kind of bringing some insight to that. But
which is basically like reading about real estate in New York and Kansas City. By the time it got out, it was too late.
Well, because of me, I think mostly, or us. Like,
isn't it funny? Like, if you ever know of a news story, like you're a part of it, or something that happened, and you read it in the news, and like they get half the facts wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yet
we still get up, like in every story I've ever known about, I've ever been a part of, or I've ever had the inside information on. You're like, yeah, that's not at all what happened. But yet we get up every day and read the news and go, oh, that's the facts.
Right.
And that's not what's happening.
Right.
They don't spend that much time interviewing you. It's just a quick snap, what sounds good on, to sell a couple commercials, and they're on to the next story.
They want a tagline, a headline, or whatever.
It's not the real dirt.
We're putting down real dirt, but the problem is it's supposed to be fresh and cutting edge, but I was lazy. We didn't know what we were doing, so we recorded it in April. We didn't actually get a video of it out until May probably, and then it didn't go on any kind of a pod site until June. And I hope if anyone heard it, those that heard it got something out of it, either way. But by the time that kind of hot sellers market, the agents are messing this up, went out, it's kind of started to calm down, So now we're recording this, and I think some of the topics we're going to talk about today are already starting to feel like, maybe other people are, maybe we're not too cutting edge. So if we can get this up at least in the next week, maybe we'll still be kind of cutting edge for anyone that's listening out there. We'll be saying some good insights, because the point of why we're doing this.
Yep.
But another thing that we do, if you watch the last one or listen to the last one, if you listen to the last one, you heard a lot of birds. You're
still here.
You're hearing the same birds because first we want to go out every time and highlight a local independent business. Last time it was Head Rush Roasters, coffee shop, tea shop, awesome. Justin has got himself another Head Rush awesome beverage. And then today I thought, let's go to Philly Time, which happens to be right next door to Head Rush here in the Briarcliff development if you're in Kansas City. And Philly Time, for all you that know, independent business, and if you're a Philly cheesesteak person, there's not a better one in Kansas City. So don't go to Pepper Jack's, don't go to whatever. Long time local company in Kansas City. So we wanted to give them support. So we had a couple of the spicy steak sandwiches. I had steak, you had the chicken.
Yeah.
And but we're back on this patio. So next time,
are you comfortable eating chicken, being that you're a husband of 4 of them?
Yeah, that's true farmer.
I barbecued the other day with my parrot. Did you see that?
I did see that. You shouted me out.
Oh, yeah.
As a backyard poultry.
That's right. I did shout you out. Yeah. I don't know. Parrots aren't poultry. Not where I'm from.
Or whatever. What did you call
poultry
it?
means that you eat them.
Aviary. Right? Backyard aviary.
No, I'm pretty sure it's poultry.
Oh.
But I don't think. Yeah, it was a joke.
It's a joke for one, and it didn't really even land that well. So that's our podcast. It's a joke for one that may or may not land.
I thought it was funny. I don't think it's funny to parrots, but.
But what's interesting about the podcast world, if you're a podcast listener or watcher, is there's only, I don't know, it's like realtors. There's just tens and tens and hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there. And an interesting fact is our first one's already up to a level of listenership that it puts it in like the top 25% of podcasts in the world. And
which is like 12.
That's... Yeah, 12 listens. 18. Hey, man.
18 listens and puts us in the top 25. So
isn't that weird that
feeling pretty good about that.
75% of podcasts get less than 18 listens. That's sad. But we're going to do it. We're going to keep at it. But anyway, if you watch this, if you listen to this, if you have any comments, insight, we say something that you completely disagree with, we say something that you love, or you just have a different idea that you want to throw into the mix, because that's what this is all about, is in any market, whether it's real estate or whatever, sharing of ideas and experiences is where people learn and kind of grow outside of a norm or grow outside of what everybody else is doing, which is what we're trying to do here. So if you've got something for us, please let us know. Even if it's you guys are idiots, I can't believe you sit out there and talk about this stuff for 35 minutes and it's 8 minutes in and you haven't said a word about real estate yet.
The only difference is there's a camera and 2 microphones. It's really not that much different.
Yeah.
So what have you been seeing?
Well, I think our last episode we talked about the seller's market, and this has gotten so much press now at this point. We're so many months into this crazy seller's market that's never been seen before. Low inventory, low interest rates, driving high demand, blah, 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 blah. So what we were talking about last time was the agents, it went so fast and it was climbing so fast that agents were messing this up and were fueling the fire and fueling the negative kind of message out there of real estate in this market. But what's happened through all of that, and we've talked about this a lot too, is we're our own worst enemy in the real estate profession, because we talk and talk and talk amongst ourselves, and then we bring that energy out, or we bring that message out to the people and to our clients, and we inadvertently sort of influence our people in a wrong direction. And what I've taken note of, and I'm interested to see because we haven't planned this one. This is last time was minimal plan, and this is zero plan. So I'm interested to see what Genius Justin says about this. But what we're finding with other real estate professionals, and definitely with our clients, and when we're out on the street talking to folks, is people are like, but this is a great time to sell. Everyone's figured that out. That has gotten through to everybody. And even when you be on the street, they're like, oh, if I had a house to sell right now, or if I could sell right now, this is the time to sell. But what that is conversely going into is, but it's a terrible time to buy. And so we're seeing kind of a pullback in the market, because I think people are scared of this crazy seller's market. They're scared to overpay for their house. They're scared to get into these crazy competitions and have all this stress. And I have a theory, and I talked about it a little bit on my own video recently, that this is every bit as much of a buyer's market as it is a seller's market. And I've got different reasons for that, but I'm interested to see what your take is on, is it a buyer's market? Is it a good time to buy right now?
Yes and no. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you're wanting to achieve. I mean, is it an excellent time to sell? Yeah. it depends on how you perceive, where you're at in the market. Is this a cliff? Well, then yes, it's still a good time to buy, because you need to, where do you want to be for the next 8 years? If you know it's a cliff, are you still going to stay in the wrong house? We're always trading in the same market. Now, if you're not going to buy another house, it's an excellent time to sell. Again, if you think that this is getting close to where it's going to, top out, and then maybe even if it plateaus, maybe it's a good time to sell. You buy low, sell high. There's a lot of people that want to win on both ends, and it's just hard. You're always trading in the same market. So is it a good time to buy? No, because
but will it be a better time to buy next week or next month?
It was a great time to buy, 3 years ago, but nobody believed it 3 years ago.
Right.
Everybody thought 3 years ago it was a cliff.
Right.
So if you had bought 3 years ago and you had a 4% interest rate, and you were like, oh my God, interest rates went up to 4%, and I bought, what a mistake. Well, you would have bought at, say, 15% less price, and then you could have refinanced your house. Those people did really well. Does that mean it's a bad time to buy now?
Mm-hmm.
No. It just means that was a different time. If you did it the right way, you might be ahead right now. And those people are moving up and making changes. They're still moving money. They're still moving their families and their houses, The people that are winning right now are the ones that are buying now when everybody else. See, right now in the market, they're on vacation. Mm-hmm. Like right now, this last weekend is Father's Day weekend, and we had tons and tons of showings on properties that agents didn't take their clients to. So open houses that were happening, clients were coming in without their agents. Agents are on vacation. That also means that clients are on vacation. School just let out. So there's this hesitation, even with my buyers, they're like, hey, I heard somebody at work said, I'm not going to go buy this week, or I'm going to stop shopping because it's just too much. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a common story, and that's when you should move forward. You should do what the herd's not doing. When the herd was doing that a month ago, that's probably the wrong time to be trying to get in. When there's 50 offers on a house, you don't have a whole lot of leverage. Right now, sellers that are going on the market, they're expecting 50, because they hear it from work, they're expecting 50 offers on their house in the first weekend, and for the last week and a half, we haven't seen that. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean that the market cooled. That doesn't mean that you can go in and make offers, considerably undervalued. But that does mean you can go out and get a house. Mm-hmm. And the win right now, as we know, is the interest rate. Mm-hmm. So This is a long, playing real estate's a long-term thing. I don't think it's a great time if you're going to move in and you want to live there for a year and a half, 2 years, and move up or sell. There's no guarantee that there's going to be appreciation like there has been.
Right.
But if you're looking to buy a house like a normal homeowner, and you're looking at moving your family in there, and you're gonna spend time and years there, then it's an excellent time right now to go do it while nobody else is looking.
Right. There's definitely fatigue right now, which is causing less competition in the market. These scary stories are scaring people out of the market. So that they're in that alone, right, in the frontline news of this podcast this week, if we can get the podcast up. If you hear it, get out now, because this summertime malaise and lull. It's a lull. Yeah, good lull. But I think just even conceptually, like what my thought is that people say, I really want to buy a house right now, but this is not a good time to buy. And you go, well, why is that? Well, because things are going way over value. Okay, so like you said, if you would have come out a month ago and you were looking at that house for $250, and it got a bunch of offers. It was, first of all, go back to our last episode, it was underpriced at $250. So it got a billion offers, and you lost. That house went for $285. It went 30 over. Okay, that house is now a $285 house. At least for the foreseeable future, that house is for $285, and probably
based on the evidence we have.
Based on the evidence we have, and probably if it was a month ago, it might be even $290 now. Okay, so to say like, well, you were good to lay out last month because it was such a crazy time. Well, that house that you liked at $250 is now $290. So your waiting only lost you $40,000 in that transaction, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so my thing is, your advice is right. There are some certain crazy markets where if you're just kind of a speculator or an investor,
right,
you get in now because you're going to take advantage of this rapid appreciation. Okay, that time is gone. If you're just getting in to try to make a quick buck on appreciation, I think you've missed that boat. It's like me with Ethereum right now. I missed the boat. I got in at the last second, saw a little bump, and then it went. So okay, so
I'm holding on to my Doge still.
you hold on to your toes. But unlike Ethereum, so Ethereum did this whole thing forever, and then people are jumping on at different points, and then it went and it just started doing this. So one of the fears in real estate is, well, that we've heard is, I don't want to get in now because everything is so overinflated, and they're picturing. And if you lived through 2008, you're picturing the bubble again,
Right.
and you don't want to lose your butt in. I just said butt. I just like made it a PG thing. You don't want to lose your ass in a home. I lost my ass on a home in 2000 in the mid 2000s because I thought it'd be a good investment and I was going to take advantage of this crazy rapid rising appreciation and sell it.
And you also bought a house that didn't meet your needs. So when that happened, there was no reason to stay.
Right.
You didn't have a house with 3 kids that you needed all the bedrooms. You bought as a speculator.
Yes.
And you got burned.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, real estate, if you're going for investment and that's your job or that's your game and you know it and you know when to get in, get out, and when to move and shift, there's always time, there's always values to find in investment.
But don't ever trust somebody that says they know the right timing, because those guys all lost their butt.
Somewhere, yeah.
I saw them all lose their butt 13 years ago.
Yeah.
When they all thought they had this figured out. Nobody has it figured out.
But the reality is, homes typically, if you chart it,
Yeah.
are not really great investments. Unless you just like having a franchise, right? Having a McDonald's, right? Having one McDonald's isn't that great of an investment. But if you have 20, you've got a really good investment. Homes, if you're an investor, if you want to get into homes as an investment, now if you're a flipper, that's a different game. That's a different podcast.
Okay.
But if you're getting into buy and rent and hold, real estate, it's a long-term investment. No matter if you're an investor or an owner occupied.
Well, yeah, so let's say that you're when the average person, I mean, you can speculate, you can buy. It's always going to be high risk, high return. Most people, they want to buy in areas they're comfortable with, and that they're, so the appreciation of a property generally keeps up with the inflation of the economy. Mm-hmm. So if you're seeing a 2 to 3% appreciation, which we used to consider a healthy appreciation in real estate, mm-hmm. now these 15% a year things we've been seeing is not normal.
Right.
Oh man. And these 15%, hold on. Make sure it's recording.
We might have a short episode.
Yeah, a really short episode.
Yeah.
These 15% appreciations that we've seen, that's not normal.
No.
So when you're buying a property, you're just you're keeping up with the market. Your money's not depreciating. You put it in a bank account at 0.5% a year, you're losing, 3% buying power. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at the appreciation of property, I don't even consider that an investment. When I run the calculator, I take the appreciation off, because who knows what $1 million in 20 years is even going to buy.
Right.
Will it buy me a car? It doesn't matter. I only care about what's that property going to generate over in cash flow and in equity that's accrued by being paid down. Mm-hmm. So holding real estate as an investor, you're letting somebody else go to work and pay for a house. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. I can tell you, the average person that has a house, though, they didn't make money on their home. It just made them put their money in a piggy bank.
That's what I guess before we lose our battery, because now we're gonna lose our battery. That's how prepared we are. Us talking about investment properties or getting into real estate for investment is a whole different episode. I think For this episode, let's stay on the majority of our listeners, probably the majority of our clients, which are, I want to buy a home to live in, right? I want an owner occupied. I want one home. I don't want 3 homes. I don't want to be a landlord. Okay, so that person.
The fear you're talking about is, are we setting on a cliff?
Well, yeah, but so exactly. I think I would venture to say, people will say home ownership is one of the safest investments because of this 3 to 4% over time. You get a nice steady climb of appreciation, whatever. And my argument, anti-realtor argument, is that for owner-occupied homes, typically, not when it goes up 15% in a year, which is a freak anomaly, but typically, your home that you live in is not a great investment. If you're getting 3 to 4 to 5% appreciation a year, but then you factor in your mortgage payment, you factor in your tax and insurance, you factor in your maintenance, you factor in the new roof, right? You do all the expenses. It doesn't wash out that great. Now, the money you put into it as a down payment or whatever, that's sitting in a 0% piggy bank. That money's not growing. Yeah. In theory, you can just get it back out later as a cash out refinance or when you sell.
Which is why people leverage their properties instead of leaving their cash in them.
Yeah. Right. So the point is, so to go back to the original thing, is it a buyer's market? If you just want a home that you want to live in and love, and like Justin said, yeah, I think in any market, if you know your life is stable for the next 3 to 5 years, as much as you can know that, right? And you find a home that you think will be an improvement in your life in the next 3 to 5 over the next 3 to 5 years, then it's always a buyer's market, because you want to improve your life with a different home. And so there's very rarely where I'd say, well, don't buy it now, because unless you're waiting for the bubble to blow up and us to fall off the cliff, and that home that you went, gosh darn it, it was $250 at the beginning of the summer, and now it's $300, and I missed out. But I think it's going to come back down, and that's the next question: is it going to come back down?
Everybody has that, everybody has that same fear. That's not a new fear. That's the same fear we had in 2012. It's the same fear we had in 2015. We look back and you say, man, at 2011, 2012, that was the bottom of the market. But nobody knew in 2011 or 2012 if that was the bottom of the market.
Right.
They all thought this could go lower.
Right.
And when it went up every year, it's like, could it go any higher? Could this ever be any higher? And then I used to think, how could this get any hotter? Because we used to look at the old market as inflated. But after seeing that market and we watched that climb, you can see that the cost of new construction climbed pretty steady. And now when values were here, they just didn't build new construction, but all of a sudden they started building again. And the relationship between new and resale, there's a relationship to it. Mm-hmm. So as costs continue to go up, which I've never seen costs go down, inflation continues to occur, prices will continue. I'm a believer that this is the new normal. I don't think that that cars are going to get cheaper tomorrow.
No.
Wood came down 40% last week,
but it's still up 200% over last year.
Yeah, it's still up considerably.
Right.
That was
normalizing.
Ridiculous. But the new normal's like, from 1,100 or 1,500, now it's down to 1,100. Yeah. It used to be 500 to 600. I expect that to fall into the maybe 750 range.
Right.
I don't think it's going to go back to 600.
Your McDonald's value meal is not going to go back to $4.
Which means that house prices of new construction last spring, we won't see that again because they physically can't build them. Plus, why would they? There's demand. Why would a builder? They can't even keep up with the demand. Why would they go reduce?
Right.
So then anybody shopping new then looks at resale at the same time, and resale is going to has to be a motivating, price point. It has to be an anchor price that's motivating not to have new. But it's in relation still.
Right.
People still want, they don't. If it gets too close, I'll just buy new, right? So I don't foresee that, short of the entire economy collapsing. I don't see that we're on a cliff right now.
Right.
I do think that this has to level off. This is a lot of pressure that comes from many economical factors that have to do with COVID, and interest rates being low and all that. But historically, when they raise interest rates, house prices don't fall.
No.
They might slow the market a little bit, but it doesn't drop house prices.
Right.
And the argument is that housing's too expensive, but it is for a segment of people, but we keep selling houses.
And that's another episode. Affordable housing need, but
I don't have a solution for that.
But yeah, so in every market, like Justin said, and he looked at the graph and I looked at it over his shoulder and I didn't understand what he was talking about, but you see this just natural ascension of values of everything we buy. It just naturally goes up. Now
it is a little.
It can spike and it can do
a little
this.
Steep right now.
Right, and that's the thing. And so people think this is artificial, or something. It's going so fast. Up so fast that it's going to have to come down to back to a normal. And my argument is that is a PTSD response to the banking crisis and the refinance crisis of 2008. And I was in the business at that point. That's when I lost my ass in a house. So I have a pretty intimate understanding of that situation. And what was happening was, just for everyone that's listening that doesn't know, what was happening then was that was fueled. Those increases in value were fueled by shady loan practices, subprime lending, people who were getting loans that didn't need to be in loans. And not only that, but these companies to keep grabbing at dollars, and they were like taking these loans and chopping them up and selling them, and they were just trying to get more and more volume all the time. So they were creating new products that should have never existed. Not only do we have 100% loans, which we can still do today, but they're very rare and they're hard to, they're difficult and they're expensive. You got to be qualified. But you had 110, 120% loans. So think about that. Your bank, a lender was lending 120% of a home's value. Well, then the value is determined by one person an appraiser who has whatever experience they have and whatever opinion they have, and sometimes, as you might know in your
I'm not
own,
even going to go to how dirty that business was at the time.
but that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in your own business, think about some shady characters, or in your own life, think about some shady characters. Well, appraisers knew who they were working for. In the mortgage company that I worked for, we had our go-to appraiser. He knew exactly what he needed to do, which was get us the value he needed to close the loans. No appraiser wanted to shut a deal down.
That's why I didn't drive a Cadillac.
There you go. So they were jacking up these home values, and then dumb homeowners like me and most of the country and whatever,
They trust the professionals.
you trust it. You trust the bank and the appraiser to say that this is my house is worth. So then you
Then
go
you go borrow money against it.
and then you cash it out,
like,
multiple times,
buy a boat, buy a car,
and then go try to sell it. And then the market told you, even though the lender and that appraiser said it was worth this because they wanted your money and you wanted your money, the market said it's not worth that at all, and everything started to tank out. What's happened here is the market is driving these values because the rates are historically low, so that's pulling more buyers in.
So unless demand changes, unless there's a significant change in demand, last time also builders were building subdivisions they didn't have buyers for yet.
Right.
I haven't seen very many model homes in existence, and when they're like, I was in one yesterday, and it's there just so they have something to show the next phase. It's only there for this next phase they haven't even broke ground on yet.
Right.
There's not another house for sale in the subdivision, and the agent I know is sitting on that spot. She's just waiting for new inventory. There is not there's not an oversupply. There's still a shortage in homes.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember the old the number? I have an idea of what it was. Let's see if you remember. How long you had to be in a house just to break even on it, just to pay your realtor commissions and get out of it. It was like, how many years do you remember that was?
I would say it was 3, wasn't it?
I think it was 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
So in the old times, before this crazy world where we expect 10% on our money a year, you'd have to be in your house 3, 4, 5 years, and that was just to break even.
Mm-hmm.
Now the expectation, which everything's relative, it's just like when gas goes down, we expect gas to stay at 2, but we used to be comfortable with it at $3.50. But now it's $2 gas. Did you see it was $2.25, and everybody's not taking their boat to the lake?
Yeah.
It's all relative though, and now we're going to see this market is going to feel like a crash when it just plateaus.
Right.
From this to this will feel like that, and I'm already seeing it. I had a seller this weekend. And I told her before we got listed, it's like, we're going to price the house right. We will not have 50 showings. Mm-hmm. We will not have 20 offers. Mm-hmm. We had five showings. I had 3 offers, and I overpriced this house.
Right.
And I still got 10 over.
Okay.
Not because it's worth 10 more,
right,
but because the agents are so out of touch on they're conditioned to do what?
Yeah. Fire out big.
If you want it, you better go 10 over.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and pushed it, and my people know we probably aren't going to hold on to that whole 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I could have priced it 20 under, had 50 showings, and got what we got anyways.
Right.
But we talked about that last time.
But like you were like you were saying, like other agents that aren't as savvy as you aren't telling their clients properly and getting them prepped.
Well, the average agent's only been in the market since the market started doing
right.
this. They don't even know how to go pull comps to advise their buyer
what
on
real value is.
They have no idea.
Yeah, or what the market's doing.
Which
is why we have the podcast.
Which is another reason,
And so, like you said, people that are behind the curve now put a house up, and when it doesn't get 100 showings and 50 offers,
the anxiety.
The seller thinks that their agent failed them.
Even though we talked about that, she's like, maybe on one hand the anxiety is so high. It's frustrating to have to leave the house. She has a life and she has kids, and they have sports and they're doing stuff. So she's like, I hate doing this. This is frustrating. But on the other hand, she's like, I always say it's like sending your daughter to the beauty pageant. And then you're going to have to see the feedback,
Yeah.
Does everybody have the same definition of beauty?
And it all reflects back on you as the
it's
parent or the owner.
Your house is your baby, so her anxiety's high about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there's not 50 people coming because the girl at work sold her house and had 50 people.
That means my house sucks.
Nobody likes my house.
Yeah.
And she was calling me and saying, or texting me, she's like, hey, here's this other house in a different market, which is a better market. It's the same price. And I'm like, yeah, they underpriced the house. Mm-hmm. It's pending, and I guarantee you it's $40,000 more than they... It's so much anxiety. Mm-hmm. That when this market tips back to just normal, that's going to feel, because gas went up to $2.25, right?
Yeah.
It's all relative, but it's going to feel like we just hit a wall.
Right. But we didn't.
And we didn't.
We just leveled.
We didn't. We need that.
Yeah.
It used to be 3 to 6 months to sell a house.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see a lot of agents get fired? Watch what happens when it goes to their house taking 90 days and the seller still expected 1 weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And that agent doesn't have the skill set to even stay in communication with their seller for 3 to 6 months.
Right.
And a lot of our job is just keeping the seller's anxiety in check and keeping them out of their own way. You wouldn't believe it. It has very little to do with houses. It has a lot to do with counseling.
Sure.
Counseling and being a rock while everything else rolls.
Right.
And when everything rolls, you're going to see the strong agents will still be standing, and there will be a bunch of speculators that got into real estate thinking this is a good way to get rich quick. They will be wiped out of this market, and they should be. They don't have a skill set that's usable.
Right. Which is why we're
be.
doing this podcast, and for any realtor that's listening, because we want you to be better than the majority, and that includes knowing your market, knowing when it's shifting, ahead of the shift, right? Don't wait for the news to tell you, like we talked about at the beginning, because they're months behind it, and be able to tell your clients right now, first of all, your sellers right now, this is already shifting, things are already leveling off, the buyers are taking a break, so get them prepared for this might be 2 weeks instead of 2 days. This might be and if you price it aggressively,
if you price it right, it should be.
It might
2
be
weeks.
longer. It might be 2 to 4. If you do it right. But
eBay runs 7-day auction.
Right.
So if you put something on eBay and it sells in the first day, did you get what it could have brought?
Wait till the 7th day. Yeah.
7 days is what they run.
Right.
So if you get 50 offers in 1 day, did the market even find its balance? Did it bring market?
Right.
There's no way to know.
Right.
But if you underprice something, you're a hero because it went for over.
I think the other thing to be telling your clients and clients that are listening, people that are listening, again, going back to, this is not the time to be scared of buying. If again, your life's going to be stable, you think, for the next 3 to 5 years, your income's going to be, all the things, that's the normal matrix. Is my life stable? Is my income stable? And will this make my life better? If you feel like those 3 things are in check, then be telling people it's buy time. It's buy time because there's a sag in demand a little bit. It's buy time because the rates are going to only go up from here. This is historically low rates. And it's buy time because, again, like we just said, we may see the value start to level off, which will be fine and nice for buyers once they fully level off and you can have this longer runway of time with value.
Maybe 3 nights to bring your family through and make sure it's the right fit.
Yeah, right.
Go try the clothes on before you buy them.
But at this moment, it is still going up. So that 250 house still in this market, even if it takes an extra week, still might go for 275. And so what are you waiting for? Are you waiting? What are you telling your clients at this point? Hey, let's hold out for a second because why? Because we want rates to be higher, which means your mortgage payments are higher. We want the value of that house you love to go up. Or are we telling our clients to hang out for a second because we as realtors don't really want to do the hustle anymore?
That client I'm talking about, she's in an industry that's surrounded by a lot of different agents, and just in her normal life, she's surrounded by. Everybody knows an agent, and she was, coming back with little tidbits. Other people were telling her like, this market is, it's chaos right now, or it's turbulent,
Right.
There's all these different,
You're getting beat up. Don't do it. Yeah.
That's emotion, though.
Right.
That's not, the numbers aren't showing that.
Right.
And, everybody likes to look back in hindsight after it happened and said, I should have bought here. I shouldn't have bought here. But none of that really matters. If, the demand's there, you need the product, then, you still have to be smart about it.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that I take a lot of pride, and I know you do, in knowing our stuff, and like we talked about, counseling our buyers or our sellers on the upfront, taking the time to get to know them, what their needs are, putting together a really strong strategy before you ever start going and looking, so that expectations are set right, and you're only going after the right things at the right time with the right ammo, right? So you're not going in, if your client is tapped out at 200, you're not looking at $200,000 homes right now because you might need ammo to win the deal. I've got a friend that I worked with, a former coworker, and we were talking about a possible home purchase, but it was really infancy stages of the talk, and it was like Facebook messaging, so it was never really a consultation professional thing. Ended up that they decided to kind of on the fly to go ahead and try to sell or try to buy first and then sell, and use a lifetime friend of the husband, right, as their agent, which, okay, that's fine, and that is fine if you go with who you're comfortable with. But what I've seen since then, 3 months ago, has been continual Facebook posts about, this is so stressful, I'm breaking down. This is the worst thing ever. And I messaged this said friend and said, I'm really sorry that you're going through all that. I take a lot of pride in my clients not feeling that kind of anxiety and feeling that kind of defeat. And she goes, it has nothing to do with the agent. It's the market. And I went, oh, because I just wanted to come back and go, actually, it has everything to do with the agent, because you've not been prepped right. You're looking at things maybe you shouldn't be looking at. You're firing on deals you can't. Something's happening to cause 3 months of failure. If you're out every weekend looking and you don't have that home yet and you're nothing but feeling beat up, I feel like it's on the agent at this point. Like something's gone wrong in that equation. My clients aren't dealing with that. I don't think Justin's clients are dealing with that.
I was talking to my coach the other day. I have a business coach, and he's out of California, so it's interesting to talk to him because he's on like things happen on the coast before they happen here. So I'm like, always, what's going on there?
That's why I'm still tight rolling my jeans. It hasn't got here yet.
Whenever I talked to him the other day, he was surprised to hear that I've yet to write, I don't know the actual term for it, but those appraisal waivers where you go,
contingency waiver.
I'll pay this much over the appraisal. None of my clients yet have done a single one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I just did the numbers the other day. We're still right under 50% of our buyers are finding houses that never had a sign in the dirt. So how are we doing that? Well, we have a big network of people. So when I have a buyer, with a specific need, I know I have people I can call and go, hey, I got this, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing I'm doing right now is I'm looking for temporarily off-market properties, and I'm getting the other agent to bend the rules for me. That's what I do. It's their job to follow the rules. It's my job to push them to do. My job is to get a house for my buyer.
Right.
So I'm able to go, hey, can you squeeze me in? What can I do? And I call that an off-market when nobody else can get it, and we get it, win, right? So we're doing that stuff. I'm starting to look at overpriced properties. So I'll only look at houses that have been on the market more than 20 days. Often those have terrible marketing, bad photos, or there's something that needs to be corrected in it. And the seller at that point has already lost, 20 days in this market, you've lost your steam. You are feeling pretty lousy about your house, ready to throw in the towel.
You're ready to do whatever.
That's the best time to come in with the buyer. Now my buyer has an anchor price. They go, oh my God, they're asking this much on it. And you're like, yeah, might be a weak agent. That weak agent hasn't got it priced right. But that tells you that the market's shifting the other way. When we're starting to see houses sit on the market for 20 days, and that's a sign of the times that things are finding their balance.
Yeah.
And we take advantage of those. So we're finding houses off market, and we're finding mistakes in the market, and we're taking advantage of them.
Weaknesses. You're finding that's what any good realtor or think about. I'm a sports person, so the Royals won the World Series in 2015. They talked about because Dayton Moore, the general manager, exploited a market inefficiency. They call it, right? Something that's wrong. Everyone else is doing it one way. What are they missing where I can pick up? So you're picking up a lot of awesome things. I mean, looking at days on market is no one's doing that. I'm not doing that. I think, but I'm in the same boat with you where I haven't done the value appraisal, contingency waiver either yet with my clients.
But it's everywhere.
And everyone thinks they just have to fire it. Now, I have done some appraisal waiver type things, or some inspection waiver things. That's kind of almost a given in some of these markets. But it really is, again, as an agent, you need to know your client and what they've got, but you also need to be able to communicate with the listing agent, figure out what the seller's needs are, because the seller doesn't always need maximum dollars. The seller needs a really creative closing date. They need to maybe have possession. They need to maybe stay in the home after possession. They need your financing. Cash is king. So maybe you're $20,000 light, but you're cash.
I'm not even getting calls from agents on my listings.
Right.
The other day I had a showing. Well, I got an offer, and I was like, well, that's weird. I don't remember seeing that agent's name. And then an hour later, they scheduled a showing. They had already wrote an offer on a house they hadn't seen. And again, this is one I feel like I overpriced. And then they went $10,000 over. They took it as is, no inspections, and there was zero reason to do that. They were my first offer. And had they called, I wouldn't have given up the story, but it would have been, there's no offers yet. Take your time and go look at it.
Right.
I don't want anxious buyers buying my houses. I want people that are going to see it through for the next 30 days and not wake up tomorrow with remorse.
Yeah.
So the agents aren't even picking up the phone. They assume that they're already going to lose, and they're just, let's write one and throw it in. Let's write one and throw it in.
With a bunch of fiction numbers on it.
That is not the agent I would want.
No.
But that's
the majority.
It's prevalent.
Right, and so that's where you're getting these stories, and that's where, again, your potential buyer, you wanting to buy a house, you're hearing from your friends, it's the worst thing ever, don't do it. And then, like the talking point for my friend, it's the worst thing ever, don't do it, and it's not my agent's fault, it's the market. That is so.
Well, what are you hiring an agent for?
To know the market and to win the market.
You're hiring them for experience.
Yeah.
And their marketing.
And to reduce the stress and anxiety and get you what you need.
So like marketing.
And so if that's not happening, it's the agent's fault. It doesn't really matter what's happening in the market.
Right. So a great book called This is Marketing by Seth Godin, and this has been reused by other people. But the idea is that imagine there's the ocean and you're a shark, and you go and eat something. All of a sudden, you went from blue water, now there's some red water, and other sharks come to red water. A great marketer, a great agent, in this business is somebody who's always looking at the blue water. You want to be there before all the other sharks come. Mm-hmm. Right now, houses listed on MLS is red water. Mm-hmm. So my clients, I will show them anything they want to see on MLS. I do not spend my time watching MLS. Right. I spend my time finding blue water.
Right, farming the blue water, yeah.
That couple I was talking about, we found them a house. I got their house under contract, and within 6 hours, I found them a house it's an excellent buy. Mm-hmm. They were under contract. It fell apart because of inspections. So guess what? That seller's fixing everything on the list. New furnace. They had the roof fixed. It's a 5-year-old roof. Had a couple things that didn't get done right. It's getting fixed. They're doing plumbing repairs, electrical repairs. And we're not in a multiple offer situation.
Right.
And that seller's excited to work with us because guess what? We just showed up to pick them up when that seller got kicked down, right? Mm-hmm. And they've lost their leverage. Their agent feels the emotion of the seller, which is not a great emotion right now. And we come in like heroes.
Yeah.
My people got time to look at it without the pressure of other people. They didn't have, that's the first offer we wrote. Mm-hmm. Now it was a little scary for them to move so fast. And I told them, we can go to battle like everybody else and learn. I think you're going to appreciate this situation a lot more after you go to battle a few times.
Right.
And it sucks. They don't get to have the experience of going and looking at 30 houses and really narrowing it down because why are they moving right now? Well, they're taking advantage of the equity of their sale and trying to move in that market.
Right.
Other markets, you don't have great equity in your house and you got to save more money to buy, but you get more choices. Everything's a trade-off, right? And in this market, they made a mistake, admittedly in their opinion, they made a mistake that they had bought a house at the wrong time and then it had some stuff wrong with it and some major foundation stuff and a lawsuit they went through and all sorts of stuff. And they really want to have that experience that they didn't get last time. They bought in 2004, which was not quite this market, but it was another, historically we thought that was a hot market. And but now here they are in this market without a lot of choices, and it gives them a lot of anxiety. And then they go look at listings online and they're like, well, if this one's that, well, this one over here seems like it's priced better. And you're like, that house went for more. And I'm an appraiser. I see a lot of the contracts on the back end. I get to touch 40 or 50 other people's deals a month. I can't share the details, but I know the details, and I can basically say, I don't think that property sold for that. And then I can call agents and ask too. And if you're an agent, you should be calling agents and asking, hey, did you get multiple offers? Did it go over? And you'd be surprised how many agents, especially if you're plugged in the industry, will share that information.
I share. I don't understand the whole, and that's another agent thing. We talk about that a whole different episode. I don't understand agents that don't share information. Like, you're just making the whole process harder for everybody. But anyway,
even for yourself, because you might be hindering a comp that helps you on your sale.
Yeah, or just in transaction, you might win a deal if you give some information, then all of a sudden it comes back to you, and then you can put that information together. Again, we're trying to help. I like win-win, so if I'm trying to get a home for my buyers, I want the sellers to feel like they won too. I don't want anyone to feel like they got screwed or taken advantage of. And some of these agents, it's like they want to play the game and hide behind contract or hide behind whatever. This is the way it's always been done, and so I don't tell you. And I had one last week, but
it's the idea of bending somebody over the barrel. That's not how negotiation really works, because
you're not really taking care of your clients. And now we're all mad.
Well, you don't even think they're not even considering that idea of bending somebody over the barrel. That is only if you have so much leverage that they can't walk away.
Right.
And the truth is, most people are in a position to walk away.
Right. And even if they can't walk away, do you really want to go through that transaction with someone that feels like they've just been, abused and beat up, and and you've got them stuck, and then, I mean, you win, maybe you made your clients an extra $5,000, but these people are miserable, they hate you, they hate working with you. You're gonna have to come back and work with these people again somewhere, these other agents or whatever, so don't be that guy.
I'm not seeing too much of that. I'm seeing a lot of laziness.
Yeah.
A lot of, I think there's, what was the word you used earlier? The just frustration in the market. You said they were
inefficient. Well,
it don't matter.
Yeah.
But just the exhaustion in the market of even the agents.
Right.
Again, we're going to see a lot of agents leave this market because it's exhausting. They're especially agents that have focused on buyers, and especially agents that haven't focused on their clients, meaning that they do not have a big family of clients that they take care of that results in referrals.
Yeah.
This market is completely referral driven, and the agents that didn't spend time developing relationships are going to really suffer because it's red water.
Yeah. Well, so between the battery getting ready to die and the time that we've hit, I think we'll wrap it up here real quick. I think what we've hopefully come to a conclusion, I hope, is that if you've got clients, or if you're someone that's looking to buy, and you've matched those criteria of it's right time for you in your life, then it's right time. Go buy now. There is nothing to wait for, because these values are not going to crash out. So you're not going to take it in the shorts on value. The rates are only going to go up, so it's going to get more expensive. And the home that you like today for one price is going to be a little bit high. Is going to be even higher next month. So
if the trends continue,
the trends continue, and even in the worst case scenario, they level out somewhere. Great for everything, it balances, but your client or you didn't take it in the shorts because you went out and bought today. But then the tail end of what we talked about is, as an agent or as a client, as a buyer, you gotta pick the right agent. And agents, you gotta be right for your clients. You can't be lazy. You gotta be doing your job, so that you're coaching them on the front end, you're counseling them on the front end, you're making sure your strategy's right. You're communicating with them, you're treating them like family. You're setting expectations right, but you're lowering the stress and the anxiety, and then go out and bust. Talking about looking at all these off-market things that we talk about, that's extra. Like that, go do the extra for the client, so that they're not just in line with everybody else beating their heads against the wall. Like, don't let your clients do that. Of course they're going to hate that experience and tell everybody that it's a terrible experience, and tell everybody that you didn't do a good job, or that don't go buy in this market. If the time's right for you to buy, or for your client to buy, it's time. Tell them it's good. Please, putting out in your marketing, it's go time. It's not wait time. Just do it right, and know why it's go time, and that you shouldn't have fear of buying right now. So
yeah, I would definitely challenge any, and I have clients that listen to this, I would definitely challenge any of my clients that feel as if they've made a mistake working with me in the last year or two. They bought the wrong house, because I don't think I have any, and the reason is I have no qualms with not buying at this moment. I'm not motivated by houses. I'm motivated by good deals. And for me, the win is always a good deal in the market. And my track record, I think, over the last year, even through all this craziness, is that we've got, all my clients have got a good deal. I don't have to get in. I mean, winning isn't beating out 50 people and getting the house. Winning is letting people over there fight for that while we sneak around the back and get something else.
Right.
And we just spend our time instead sneaking around the back. Marketing, doesn't have to look like big and loud and aggressive. It can just be sneaking around the back and, finding a good deal.
Yeah, and a win for me, because I'm a little different, I think, than Justin. Like, I'm less than from Justin in the sense of, like, he wants to exploit and find the right deal. But only thing I care about, and to a fault probably, is just my win is, do the clients have a good experience, and are they happy in their house? Like, everything else, I don't want to be overpriced. I don't want them to be upside down. I try to save their money and all that stuff too. But like Justin said, go back and talk to his clients for the last year. Go talk to my clients for the last year, and say, how was your experience? Oh, it's really good, man. He really took care of us. Do you love your home? I do. I love my home. We actually passed on some that weren't great fits, whatever. Because we're not impatient. We're not trying to just get them in something so we can move on, make our commission, and go. We want what's best.
My mortgage is going to get paid. I'm good. It doesn't matter if I sell that house this week, and there are a lot of agents, especially right now when everybody thinks real estate's great. This is a tough year to be in real estate, and there's less transactions going around. It's a smaller pie, and there is definitely a pressure on how are you going to pay for a lot of agents. How are you going to pay your bills for your business?
So you start leaning on your clients.
How are you going? Yeah, so you're shopping with your.
It's a great house. You're like hiding things, like whatever. Like yeah.
No, I'm looking at it like I don't want to get somebody the wrong house because they're going to call me in 3 years, and I never want to tell somebody.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have bought this house.
Sorry.
Or, you know,
I knew it was a 6 for you, but I kind of needed that to make my nut that month.
I don't want to be there.
So, but all right, so we're just short of an hour. We did some good stuff, I think. I don't know. You tell us what we did. You give us some feedback. Justin got a deal from the last one, so if you want to give me a deal this time for this one, I'll take that. Thank you to Philly Time here in Kansas City and Head Rush Roasters again. We'll
UPS truck.
UPS. They're synchronizing the world of commerce. Is what they're doing right now in this parking lot. But yeah, we're having a good time. We'll try to get it out before 2 months from now, and so it's a little bit more relevant. Hopefully, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you agree or disagree with. Share it with your friends and family, whatever. And hopefully, we'll keep plugging along in this market and in this world, and then we'll come up with something else to talk about in a month to 6 weeks to whenever we get our lazy butts out to do it again. So.
I think you said most of it. Yeah, I mean,
final word. Goodbye.
My final word, I think,
goodbye.
is just that there's always a win in every market, and the earlier you join the market, the earlier you're part of it. Historically, it always goes up. So make the decision around what works for you and your family.
Yeah.
And get the right agent, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think you'll be fine.
Thank you, everybody. Have great days.